Gilbot can send back out Golbat. Golbat does wall all of this Escavalier energy. Gilbot farms up, throws the Shadow Ball. The opponent makes a savage catch, catching the Shadow Ball onto Talonflame. Gilbot gonna farm up and return the favour. Welcome back to the home of Shadow Pokemon. The last few days we have been uploading some crazy maxed out level 50 Shadow Spice in the Open Ultra League, and today we're taking it one step further. Huge shout out to Gilbot. He has submitted some level 50 Shadow Golbat battles. The IVs on this Golbat are a 14, 15, 14, and despite that it's still only maxed out at 2216 CP. Without any further ado, let's check out Shadow Golbat in the Open Ultra League. And in game 1 we pick up a dreadful lead. Golbat into Ampharos. Gilbot fires off the Poison Fang, pivots out into Steelix. The opponent answers Steelix safe switch with Virizion typing advantage with the opponent out of his Steelix. Pretty tick, and we've got access to Psychic Fang that does hit back for super effective. The opponent farms up, gonna fire off the Sacred Sword. Steelix tanks that reasonably well. We farm up, lose CMP. Does Steelix survive this move? Come on Steelix. Ouch. We do get taken out, however. Golbat can now wing attack farm all the way down with these double super effective wing attacks. The opponent going to return with Ampharos. We're going to invest the Protect Shield on the Thunder Punch. Gilbot now going straight for the Shadow Ball. The question is, does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. Get absolutely wrecked. The opponent's final Pokemon is Giratina. With 2 Protect Shields to hide behind Gilbot. Again, not baiting, full sending the Earthquake. The opponent lets it through with 2 shields. Holy crap, what is this opponent saving them shields for? Gilbot can easily survive the Dragon Claw. We should be able to reach a Hydro Cannon, and we fire off on the CMP tie. My god, are we going to pull this game off? The opponent forced to shield up the Hydro Cannon. Gilbot just going to let Swampert go down. The Dragon Claw doesn't quite take us out. Giratina gets some farm. Yikes, this is going to be really tricky. The opponent going straight Dragon Claw. Gilbot going to be forced to shield this up. We're going to fire off the Poison Fang as soon as we get it. It's going to be Wing Attack versus Shadow Claw. Can our tiny 2216 CP survive this Dragon Claw and get the Wing Attack farm down? We survive. It's going to be close, but Giratina just too tick. Moving on to the next one. Golbat into Muk, 2 better response in the back. We switch out into Swampert. The opponent farms up some energy and then attempt to catch a Hydro Cannon onto Walrus. Gilbot not falling for any of that nonsense. We full send the Earthquake, and again we land the nuke through 2 shields. This now puts Gilbot in a prime position to take back switch. He knows he easily survives the Icicle Sphere. He can now go straight Hydro Cannon, Wall Rain, just going to accept his fate, losing switch to Swampert. Back out comes Muk. The opponent going to fire off the Dark Pulse immediately. Gilbot happy with Swampert's contribution. We can now realign. Unfortunately for us, the opponent is running Snarl. Most are on Poison Jab, and Poison Jab would be triple resisted due to our Steel ground typing. However, Steelix still pretty comfortable. We tank the Dark Pulse reasonably well. The opponent now sends out Toxicroak. We fire off the Psychic Fangs. The opponent lets it go. This means Golbat can come in, Wing Attack farm all the way down. Toxicroak doesn't even make a move. Back out comes Muk. We should have thrown 1 Wing Attack and the Poison Fang for optimal fast move timing. However, this game is just over. The opponent still with 2 shields. However, they will be saving them for next season. Gilbot going to start investing his own shields. The opponent still playing it out. However, they do get Wing Attack farmed all the way down. And reverse 2 shield flex. Moving on to the next one. What a dreadful lead. Golbat wants none of the work of the Walrus. We pivot out into Steelix. The opponent farms up some energy and then do us a huge favour, bringing in Giratina. Despite them being on Shadow Claw and the Shadow Sneak moveset, they will not be beating this Steelix. Gilbot fires off the Psychic Fangs. The opponent calls the bait. However, 1 more Shadow Sneak is definitely not knocking out this big thick snake. The opponent fires off the Shadow Sneak. Steelix easily survives. Gilbot gets greedy, looking for the farm down. I think this is only a Dragon Claw, which it is. However, we do shield it up. We leave with a whole boatload of energy. Gilbot thinking about switching, he then decides not to switch. He's going for the Psychic Fang, looking to lower the defense of the Wall Rain. The opponent shields, fearful of an Earthquake, and here comes Swampert. You see the instant no-shield from Gilbot calling just the Icicle Sphere, and the opponent goes for the huge Earthquake nuke. They then pivot out, looking to catch an Earthquake onto Charizard, and my god, they catch a Hydro Cannon near one shots. We get the Mud Shot farm down. Back out comes Wall Rain, and now we're going to be spamming out Hydro Cannons. Wall Rain still with 1 Protect Shield, 2 high behind. Call the Hydro Cannon bait. However, Gilbot already at the next Hydro Cannon. Walrein needs to start shielding. The opponent does invest that final Protect Shield. However, Steelix with so much residual energy, good to go. We fire off this first Psychic Fang with one Dragon Tail away from the next. And that is going to be all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing. Without a doubt, Golbat, the MVP of that battle, having a chill on the bench. In the next battle, we see another Walrus. This one is shiny, and again we pivot into Steelix. The opponent builds up some energy, then send out Nidoqueen. My god, people don't have a response for this Steelix Ace, which we fire off the first Psychic Fang. We're already at Psychic Fang. Number 2 is Nidoqueen. Gonna start shielding. No, they're not. Gilbot will now easily be able to realign, even if the opponent full sends the Earth Power. Steelix just far too thick. Holy crap, I'm jealous of this XL Steelix. I've got one best buddy, but I don't have the XL Candy. Gilbot looks to fire off the Psychic Fang, however Walrein comes in, fires off the Icicle Sphere to deny our energy. This is a pretty cool Walrus, to be fair. It's both shiny and best buddy, a nice flex from the opponent. However, we can now realign. The opponent's final Pokemon is Trevenant, and taking Switch was absolutely everything in this battle. A note to everyone watching. If you've got no response when someone say switches and your lead beats it, just stay in, as the opponent could have just realigned like that and probably won this game. However, I think Gilbot now has this in the bag. We correctly shield up the Shadow Ball. Gilbot gonna shield twice, wing attack farm all the way down, and despite them having a Walrein with a shield, they're in big trouble. Back out comes the Walrus. Gilbot fires off the Poison Fang. The opponent doesn't shield. Gilbot looks to go for the Shadow Ball, however Walrein does outpace. I think not firing off that second Poison Fang could cost us. I don't think Hydro Cannon, despite the lower defense, is going to be enough to knock out. We fire off the first. The opponent invests that final Protect Shield. Gilbot then again doesn't commit to the Earthquake. Swampert going to have to eat an Earthquake itself. Do we survive? The opponent now at the Quake. I think we're going to be left deep in the red. The opponent full sends it. Can we mud shot down? Whoa, the opponent wins with 1 HP. Well played, that opponent. I think we definitely had some win cons in that game. Committing to the Shadow Ball did force the energy off the Walrein. However, when the opponent shielded the first Hydro Cannon, I think we should have committed to the Earthquake, as we would have made it. Moving on to the next battle. We had a neutral lead of Golbat into Alolan Muk. We fired off the Poison Fang, say switched into Swampert, and Swampert is now in a world of pain. As if this Cresselia has Grass Knot, we're about to get one shot. The opponent does have Grass Knot and Swampert gets deleted. Most Cresselias that run Grass Knot have Moonblast as a second move, so we could have come in with Golbat and resisted all the charge moves. Instead, Gilbot comes in with Steelix. Looking to get ahead on energy, the opponent fires off the neutral Grass Knot, but non-stab Grass Knot doesn't do a lot. Gilbot fires off the Psychic Fang, looking to make the farm down easy. The opponent actually shields, fearful of a crunch. Holy smokes, that was not a shield I was expecting. The opponent going to fire off another Grass Knot on easy tank for Steelix. The opponent lags a turn. Gilbot again looking for the full farm down. It looks like he likes to get max energy on Steelix. That's not a bad play, as this thing is super annoying with the potential to debuff. We come in snipe with the Golbat. Back out comes Alolan Muk, and Gilbot looking to debuff him with a Poison Fang. Poison Fang doesn't do a lot, but does lower the defense of the Alolan Muk. I think we probably even survive a Dark Pulse from this range. The opponent full sends a Dark Pulse. Golbat does survive, and we are resisting the poison jabs. We fire off Poison Fang. Number 2, getting this Muk super low. Can we get the farm down? Yes, we can. Whatever the opponent's got in the back is going to get debuffed to high heaven. The opponent's final Pokemon is an Air Slash shiny Shadow Charizard. So if you're going to use Charizard, I think Air Slash is probably the 5th best move. Definitely not what you're looking for. Legacy Wing Attack is the best move. I'd say Fire Spin and Dragon Breath are both about equal. Ember's pretty fun if you want some raw fire damage, and Air Slash is just dreadful. However, either way, Gilbot can easily shield this up, and one more Dragon Tail is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we pick up a great lead. Golbat into Cobalion. They do have access to Stone Edge, however, these double kicks are double resisted. Gilbot not baiting, going straight for the Shadow Ball. The opponent shows no respect, and holy crap, that did a lot of damage despite our tiny CP. We pivot out, catching the Stone Edge onto Swampert. The opponent farms up some energy and then send out Pidgeot. Pidgeot not going to appreciate this energy. The first Hydro Cannon lands for big damage. Swampert already at the next Hydro Cannon. Pidgeot going to be forced to shield. The opponent did CMP tie, so I'm going to bet my house on this being a Feather Dance. Gilbot agrees. Of course the opponent Feather Dances. I think even a debuffed Hydro Cannon going to be pretty close to knocking out. This should get him deep in the red. Swampert fires it off and it actually knocks out. Holy crap, Swampert reminding us all why it's the GOAT. Not going to be able to reach the Earthquake, so we fire off a Hydro Cannon, force some chip damage on Jellicent, switch timer pops up, we pivot back out into Golbat. Tough decision to make, we've still got 2 Protect Shields. We call the Surf and the opponent is a Masturbator, and then pivot out into Cobalion. This is only a Sacred Sword. However, we are going to invest the shield. We're now going to be able to Wing Attack farm all the way down. Back out comes Jellicent. Again, this is only a Surf. We're going to no shield. Golbat survives on minimal HP. Gilbot now going for a masturbating session of his own. The opponent shields the Poison Fang. We reach the Shadow Ball. And Golbat is going to clean up. GG's and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle. Golbat into Giratina. If the opponent's running Ancient Power, this is probably dreadful. However, they are on Dragon Breath, so we are going to outpace to the Shadow Ball. And there's no baiting. Gilbot full sends it. The opponent doesn't shield, with then pivot out into Steelix. The opponent stays in, nearly gets sniped, and then send out Registeel. Unfortunately, we don't have Earthquake. I'm not really a huge fan of this Psychic Fang. I think Reggie was never going to shield, so we may as well have thrown the crunch. Gilbot looks to go for another Psychic Fang. However, I believe we actually lost CMP, which is pretty surprising as Registeel doesn't win too many CMP ties. Gilbot fires off the next Psychic Fangs. Registeel going to commit to the full lock on farm down. And Shadow Reggie going to hit pretty hard on either our Pokemon when we come into Swampert. We will need to respect the potential Focus Blast. Hopefully we don't get Zap Cannon baited. The opponent full sends, then pivot out into Giratina. This annoying dragon is super low, so Gilbot can absorb all this energy and commit to the full Mud Shot farm down. Giratina going to make one final claw, however Swampert doesn't care. Gilbot banks the energy, snipes with Golbat. The opponent very likely to send back out their Tin Can. However, what do I know? The opponent chooses to come into Clefable, which is obviously weak to poison. Gilbot fires off the Poison Fang. The opponent chooses to tank it, then fire off the Meteor Mash as soon as they get it. This gives Swampert a chance at sweeping. Meteor Mash takes us out. Swampert comes in, over farms. The opponent makes a great catch, catching the Hydro Cannon onto the Tin Can. However, the opponent shields. No, opponent, what are you doing? Swampert going to be able to outpace Registeel to the next Hydro Cannon. The opponent lets it go. It's now going to be a race. Swampert versus Clefable. Who's going to reach 2 moves first? And of course, spoiler alert, Swampert, super spammy, will not be getting outpaced. The first Hydro Cannon draws the final Protect Shield. Swampert makes the next Hydro Cannon, and somehow Gilbot pulls off a clutch dub. Wow, the trenches are really the Wild West. Very strange plays from the opponent. If this was a football match or a soccer match for you American players, this is half-time and Gilbot is subbing out the MVP, quite frankly Steelix, for the Shadow Glass Cannon Magneton. Magneton is a Pokemon I have used in the Ultra League, and let me tell you, it cannot tank a hit for shit, but does hit like an absolute truck. Getting back into the commentary, Gilbot fired off the Poison Fang, called the Flame Charge, lands the Shadow Ball, so Golbat, to my surprise, actually beats Talonflame in the Zero Shields. The opponent then sent out the Steel Penguin for the farm down. Magneton instantly going to be shielding up the Hydro Cannon. Type advantage with us, however, look at the waterfall damage. However, Magneton, so spammy, already at the first discharge. Empoleon instantly shields, however, Magneton already at discharge. Number 2, is the opponent willing to 2-shield the Penguin? Yes, they are. We then see the pivot into Shadow Swampert, looking to close. Gilbot instantly commits his final shield, is now all shields down. The opponent sends out Gramble. Gilbot can vanquish this thing back to their Pokeball with the Earthquake, however, he fires off the Hydro Cannon. Gramble super glassy, however, one Hydro Cannon isn't enough to knock out Gilbot. Now over farming, forced to fire off Hydro Cannon. Number 2, we're now on minimal HP, we're not going to make an Earthquake. Gilbot fires off one more Hydro Cannon. Empoleon now 3 waterfalls away from the next charge move. They're 2 away. Can we Thundershock down in 3? Who was worried? Magneton cleans up. Nicely done. What a lead. The opponent probably thinking, fuck the algorithm, as Golbat is an absolute wall to this thing. Unless, of course, they're running Aerial Ass. However, Aerial Ass is dreadful. Gilbot going for the Poison Fang bait. The opponent actually shields, then pivot out into Swampert. Gilbot with no immediate response, choosing to throw the Poison Fang. I don't dislike that play, as that will now mean that one Hydro Cannon will be lethal. The opponent over farms, allowing Gilbot to strike first. Hydro Cannon doesn't actually one-shot. Holy smokes, the opponent at a potential Earthquake. They full send the Earthquake. Swampert does survive. That's why you should run a Shadow. A Shadow and Shadow crime. One Earthquake does win the mirror. The opponent likely send back out Escavalier looking for the farm down. The opponent's counting on point. They fire off on the CMP type. Gilbot commits a shield looking to force the final shield off the opponent. Hydro Cannon does get shielded. Escavalier does make the farm down. Gilbot now has shield advantage and a great matchup. Gilbot over farming, looking to fire off the Shadow Ball, and the opponent makes a savage catch. Catching the Shadow Ball onto Talonflame, the opponent sneaks an Incinerate. In the process, Gilbot then looks to sack the Magneton. Holy smokes, Flame Charge will be one-shotting us, but the opponent throws the Brave Bird. What the heck? This allows Magneton to get the Thundershock farm down. We leave with the Discharge. Magneton wins the charge move priority, and Discharge is going to be all she wrote. Magneton coming in clutch. Let's go. In the next battle, we lead Golbat into Jellicent, a pretty neutral matchup. Jellicent has a far bigger stat product, however Golbat has access to Shadow Ball. Gilbot full sending it. The opponent commits an early shield. I have no idea if Golbat is going to be thick enough to survive a potential Shadow Ball. Let's find out. Well, evidently we're not going to find out as the opponent goes for a masturbating session. The opponent then fires off the back-to-back Surf. Gilbot invests the Protect Shield, then fires off the next Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball with this wing attack damage should be nearly lethal. The opponent now all shields down. The opponent needs to throw. They do throw on the CMP tie. Surf will be lethal. It looks like it's Magneton time. Gilbot having a think, then sends out Magneton. The opponent sends out Nidoqueen. We bank some energy, pivot out into Swampert. The opponent goes straight for a Poison Fang. The easiest no shield of Gilbot's GBL career. We then go straight for a Hydro Cannon. One Hydro Cannon doesn't knock out a regular Nidoqueen. However, we should be able to Mudshot farm down before they make the next move. Swampert leaves with residual energy and the opponent concedes the match. Moving on to the next one. Dream League Golbat into Toxicroak. The opponent goes for the single resisted Mud Bomb. Despite our low CP, that definitely isn't going to do a lot. Gilbot now continuing to overfarm and going for a risky Poison Fang bait. I doubt the opponent shields, and they don't. Gilbot now looking for the farm down. The opponent sends out Ampharos. Gilbot going to debuff with the Poison Fang, and I imagine we see the pivot into Swampert, and that's exactly what we see. Swampert going to be able to fire off the Hydro Cannon with a lowered defense. This Hydro Cannon should knock out the opponent. Actually survives on 1 HP and a dream. They've thrown 5 Volt Switches. Do they have Focus Blast? Holy crap, yes they do. They full send it. Swampert just about survives. Back out comes Toxicroak. They've got a move, so Gilbot opt into shield. We're going to be able to wing attack, farm all the way down. The opponent's final Pokemon is Cresselia, and Gilbot again not baiting, full sending the Shadow Ball. It lands for huge super effective damage. Gilbot looking to fire off one Poison Fang to add insult to injury. The opponent's going to be so sad when they see Magneton, as Magneton does resist absolutely everything in Cresselia's arsenal. We see the instant no shield from Gilbot. Cresselia fires off a Grass Knot, and despite Magneton having 0 defense, we tank that really well. The opponent fires off another Grass Knot. Gilbot still refusing to shield. We then farm up to the back-to-back charge moves. The first Discharge will be drawing the final Protect Shield, and the second one is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Magneton out here looking pretty decent in the Ultra League. In the next battle, dreadful lead, we see the save switch into Magneton, and my god, is that some risky save switch. However, the opponent with no immediate response switch out into a Dragon Breath Giratina. Magneton fires off the Magnet Bomb. Giratina tanks the first, however Magneton so far ahead in energy. We fire off the second. Giratina still doesn't shield. The opponent does reach a charge move. Gilbot looking to force switch. We shield up the Dragon Claw. Magneton continuing to overfarm. Giratina makes another Dragon Claw. Gilbot invests his final Protect Shield. Are we going to win the race to 3 charge moves if Giratina opts to shield? I don't know. We're running out of HP. The opponent shields the first. We bank the energy, send out Swampert, looking for the Mudshot farm down. The opponent fires off the Dragon Claw. They need to pivot, as you don't want to give Swampert a huge running start. Holy crap, they send out Charizard. Swampert fires off the Hydro Cannon. The opponent opting to use it as a third shield. Swampert gets the Mudshot farm down, back out. Comes Walrein. We will survive an Icicle Sphere. However, do we reach the Quake? Gilbot looking to commit. We actually go for the Hydro Cannon bait. I'm not sure on this bait. However, the opponent does shield. We don't make the second. We have a move banked on Magneton. However, Walrein, pretty tick. 1 Discharge won't be lethal from this range. We send out Golbat, sacrificing it to the Pokeos. We fire off the Poison Fang on the CMP tie. Gilbot looking to snipe, however it is a CMP tie, so we're unable to switch. We then pivot into Magneton, the opponent anticipates us throwing immediately. Gilbot goes for the undercharge. Do we get the Thundershock farm down? Yes we do, however one Powder Snow takes us out and the opponent wins a very well played game. GG's to that opponent. Gilbot tried his best but unable to overcome the Walrein lead. In the next battle, we see the Battle of the Flyers, Golbat into Gliscor. The opponent goes straight for the Night Slash, fishing for the boost. Holy crap, and they get the boost. Sorry Gilbot, why did I talk that into existence? Gilbot goes straight for the Shadow Ball. Of course the opponent shields. When people get the boost, they love to shield absolutely everything. Gilbot gonna shield up the next Night Slash, looking to force the final shield off the opponent. I'd bet my house on his opponent to shield in this boosted Gliscor, and that's exactly what they do. The opponent now wing attack farms all the way down. This boosted energy isn't going to be appreciated by either our squishy Pokemon. We send out Swampert. The opponent fires off one more Night Slash. That does almost 50% of our HP. The opponent already at the next Night Slash. We see Swampert invest that final Protect Shield. The opponent now sends out Kingdra, and here comes Magneton. Magneton going to fire off the neutral Discharge. Magneton hits like an absolute truck, and that does huge damage. The opponent going to return fire with the Octazooka. Do we get the debuff? No, we don't. So RNG in our favour. We just about make one final Discharge. Discharge will be lethal. However, Magneton's so low, it's just going to get farmed down by whatever the opponent wants to bring back out. They send out Ampharos. Come on, Swampert. You need to close strong. Swampert fires off the Earthquake after a very nice overfarm. Earthquake vanquishes Ampharos back to their Pokeball. Swampert wins the charge move priority event and once again shows why I call it the motherfucking GOAT. Let's go. Huge shout out to Gilbot for an incredible battle submission. It was great to see one of my favourite Pokemon, Golbat, in action in the Big Boy Ultra League despite its very low CP. A huge honorary mention to both Steelix and Magneton. I think Steelix is a top meta threat. If you're able to make it, unlike me, I'd highly recommend it. Magneton, you can see situationally can do a few things in the Ultra League, however it's so glassy, more of a fun pick than anything else. And of course, as I've said a few times in the video, if you don't know about the power of Shadow Swampert by now, do you even play GBL? So if you're new, consider subscribing. If you're enjoying my content, smash that like button. If you'd like your battles to be featured on the channel, link to our battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.